Okay, so this is all we have already discussed. We learned to discuss print statements in all different ways. If we wanted to print multi-lines, or if we wanted to have new line characters between lines, or some other character between lines. So there are various ways you can print statements. You can enclose strings by single quotes, double quotes, or three single quotes for multi-line comments. And then we learn to concatenate strings. Concatenate is just joining strings. So you can use this plus operator to join two strings. Like you have variable one with some value, some string value, variable two with some string value. If you do this arithmetic operation on two strings, it will just concatenate the two. And notice that this space that you see here was not added on its own. I have included the space as part of the string here. If there was no space here, you will not see a space here. Okay, did I not run this? Yeah, okay, right. And in this way, I mean, if you could have added a space by just concatenating a space here like this would work. Okay, and you can insert as many new lines as you want in your print statement by using this /n. By default, print ends with a new line character. That's the default behavior. If you want to change the default behavior, you can use the the parameter end, and you can specify what the print statement should end with. Maybe I'll just say end with an underscore. So now if I print a new line after this, okay, I will not say end with underscore here. Okay, so when I run this statement will be printed, whatever the statement is. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new lines would be there. Even if I don't add this, I mean, one new line will be added by default. So anyway, like in this statement, I have asked the print to print these 5 new line characters, and then there will be one more new line character because that's the default behavior of print. After that, this print statement will be executed. This line would be printed. And at the end, the default behavior will not be executed because I have specified the value for this parameter end. So instead of a new line, an underscore will be printed. Let's just run this code. Okay, you see that? So this is printed, then these many new lines, then one more new line, and then this statement with an underscore at the end. Now let's see what happens now. So I've added one more line, and because I've changed the default behavior, now instead of a new line character at the end of this statement, I have specified here that it should be an underscore. So let's see where this new third line is going to be printed. Okay, do you see the difference? So right now, because I have changed the default behavior, so instead of new line at the end of the second line, I have an underscore. So the third line is just printed here after the underscore. Whereas if I had removed this, if I did not specify this, then this line would be printed and the cursor automatically goes to the next line, and this would be printed in a new line like this. Okay, and we discussed that strings are immutable. They are stored as a sequence of characters, and you can use index number. They are indexed. Okay, so you can use index number to read any specific character, or you can also read a sequence of characters. I'll tell you how to do that. Okay, let's say, okay, so here we have this variable name. Okay, now this is stored as a sequence of character, which with each character being indexed. Okay, it's a long string, so I'll just write till here. So this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. This is index 3 and so on. So now if I just type variable 1 with these square brackets, if I just specify an index number, then I would be reading a specific string. So I would be just reading this particular character because this is at index 2. So instead of reading the entire string, if I just use the variable 1, then I'm reading all the characters in the string, the entire string. But if I specify the index number, then I'm just reading that character which is at this index. Now, if I wanted to read a sequence of characters, not just a single character, let's say I want to read this part. Okay, so now what I'll do is I want to read from 3 to 6. So I will just use this pattern. Okay, so when I use this pattern, actually the index 6 would not be read. It will read 3, 4, and 5. If I want 6 also to be read, then I have to use 7 here. So let's try it. So instead of just reading a specific character, I'll just say read a sequence of characters from starting with index number 3 and go up to index number 7. So it does not go up to 7, it will go only up to whatever is the last index here, that minus 1. So it'll read 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and what is my variable 1 value? 1 minute, let's check. Oh, I did not run this, so my variable 1 contains some other value for now. Let's run this one. Okay, because I had executed the earlier code and I had used the same variable 1. Variable 1 was holding some other value. It was pointed to some other value. That's why I got a different printout here. Now, when I ran this cell, variable 1 is now points to this value. And then when I slice through the string, I'm reading characters 3, 4, 5, and 6 in a sequence. This is what the output is, right? As expected. Okay, so and these are collection data types. Okay, string is also, you can view it as a collection data type, which is a collection of characters. Space is also a character here. Okay, and we learned various read and manipulation write methods on strings. So we have learned, yeah, we learned count, find, replace, length, upper, lower. So length, just let's do a quick recap and then let's write a program on strings. So len is a method that will give you the length of the variable. So all these collection data types which hold a collection of things, like in string holds a collection of characters. So it will give me the count of all the characters in that string. Okay. So length is the length of the string. So for example, variable 2, how many characters does it have? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It has 12. So this should give me an output 12. Okay, got it? And count gives you the, okay, count gives you the index of occurrence of whatever you specify here. So if I just want to see how many times a particular character or a sequence of character appears in the string. Okay. For example, here in this example, I'm trying to find how many times do I have OP, or let's say how many times do I have rock in variable 1. So I'll type this. Okay, so just look at the value of this variable, the string, and tell me how many times do you see rock?
Ma'am, 2 times.
2, right? So it should give you an output 2. Okay, that's correct. Now let's say how many times do we have AI here?
Ma'am, 1.
1.
Yeah, ma'am.
Right. So it gives one. So, you can find how many times a sequence of characters occurs. So now it's looking for the count of occurrences of A and I together. Okay. I could just look for a specific character too. I could just see how many E's do I have here. What should be the result?
Ma'am, 2.
One.
Yes. No, it's two. There is an E here also.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, got it. So that's count. The number of times a sequence of characters occurs in that string. Find whether this sequence of characters occurs in the string, and if yes, give me the starting index of it. That is what it does. Okay. So I am finding this double O in variable 2, and so it may okay, in some cases it may so happen that this particular sequence of characters may occur multiple times. So in that case, it will just, the moment it finds this sequence of characters, the first occurrence, it will give you the beginning index of this. So this is where you have double O. Okay. So it will just give you the beginning index of this. This double O began at index 1, right? At index 0, you have F. At index 0, this sequence of characters OO began. So it will give you 1. Let's find the occurrence of rock in variable 1.
Ma'am, please repeat variable 1 count.
Yes. So, okay. So this is not count. It is finding. We don't want to know how many times it occurs. We want to know where it occurs. Where is this? So index. So it will give me the index where it is. But I have 2 places where rock is. So it will just give me the index of the first occurrence. And the index is because, there are 4 characters in rock. So it will not randomly give me the index of any of those characters. It will give me the index of the first character. So it will give me the index of R in the first occurrence of rock, which is 0, 1, 2, 3.
3.
Yes. Got it? And now if I try to find this in variable 2, do I have ROCK in variable 2?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, right? So the result will be -1.
-1.
Okay, good. Okay, 2 upper and 2 lower is fairly simple. Okay, you remember that? So that's just to convert something to uppercase or lowercase. And then we had discussed replace. So replaces, if you want to replace a specific character or a sequence of characters by another character or sequence of characters, you can use this method. So all you do is use the variable name dot replace this with this. Okay. And when you do the replace, remember I told you about the way strings are handled in memory location. So when you declare the variable, let's say you had this variable called name with some value. Okay. This is the value that, this is what you declared the variable as. So now it will be this variable called name is pointing to some memory location which has this value. Okay. Each time you do edit to the string, because it's immutable, you are not actually making modifications to this memory location. Like if you do some changes to name, and let's say you change this name to Firdaus or something. Okay. So now when you do this change, you have not changed this value to Firdaus. This has not happened. You would expect this to happen, but this hasn't happened. What has happened is a new memory location holds this new value now, and this variable no longer points to the old value. Now it points to the new value. Okay. So when we use this method, remember we tried different variations of replace. So now if I replace, let's say I do name dot replace some character. What should I replace? Let's say I replace all occurrences of A to O. Okay. So now when I do this, the replace has been done and the new value is in a new location. So this A will change to O, but my variable is still pointing to the old value. I have not repointed it to this. So after executing this statement, if you print name, it will still print this value. We tried this in the previous class. So if you wanted this variable to point to the new value, you will have to do something like this. Got it? Okay, and then we also did this split method. So split method is if you wanted to break the string into multiple parts. So sometimes we have multiple values all stored in the form of a string. For example, I had all the names of students in a class stored in one string and comma, the names are comma separated. So now I want the individual name. So what I'll do is I'll just use the split method. The variable name dot split, and the split function takes one input argument, which is the delimiter. I have to tell Python that when it splits this string, how is it supposed to decide in how many pieces this is to be broken and at which points it's to be broken. So I'll specify here that the comma is the delimiter. So now this comma will be just treated as delimiter, meaning it look for the first occurrence of comma. Whatever is whatever is just before the comma will be treated as part one. Okay, so part one here is this name Muktasir. Then this comma is not included as the string. Then it will look for that part of the string which is after the comma and before the next comma, because comma is the delimiter. That's why I'm saying comma. So then it's Mohan, right? That is what we have after this comma until the next comma. Then it look for what is the portion which is after this comma until the next comma, and so on. So that's how it identifies all the parts. So now it will be broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. We did a variation of this by we tried to use the character M to split the string instead of comma. So now when you use character M, how many M's do we have here? You have these 3 occurrences of M. So what it will do is, while splitting, it look for the first M and then see what is before the first M. There is nothing before the first M. It will just put an empty character here. That's the first part 1, an empty character, nothing. And what is there just after the first M and before the next M? So we have UQTASID comma, that is what we have. So part 2 is going to be UQTASID comma and this space also. So then we have the second occurrence of M. Part 3 is going to be everything which is just after the M until the next M. So from OHAN to here. So part 3 is going to be OHAN comma this comma Bushra comma space. That's it. So this is going to be part 3, and part 4 is going to be everything that is after the last M. So the part 4 is going to be ONIKA. Okay. So this is how split works. Whatever delimiter you specify, Python looks for the first occurrence of that delimiter, and then the part 1 is always everything that is before this delimiter occurred. And then part 2 is all the characters between the first occurrence of delimiter and the next occurrence of delimiter, and then this continues. But yeah, so delimiting using character M, it's not very meaningful here. You get some random characters which don't really give you any meaningful information. Okay, so comma is a very commonly used delimiter. Some cases we use pipe. So I've just printed the output here. Okay, we have not learned lists and tuples, but when we do, then we'll come back to this, because this actually gives you a list of characters, sorry, list of parts. So it has divided the string into multiple parts, and it returns that information in the form of a new data type, which we're yet to learn. We'll learn it in the next maybe 1 or 2 classes. Now I just want to print this and see. So it shows this class is list. So it gives you a list of strings, where each string is a portion of this string which was split. This we have done. Okay, so this is the basic. There are many more methods of strings. You can always refer to the Python documentation, but these are the most commonly ones: the read methods and the write methods. Now let's write a few programs. So this is something which we'll use heavily. So we'll learn other data types, then we are going to come back to strings, because when we learn lists, there are few more functions for which you will need to understand strings before using them with strings, and then we'll learn to loop through the characters in string. Okay, let's write these programs, then we'll understand it better. Okay, so let's start with this. So we have not done loops. So okay, if you know loops, these programs are fairly easier to write using loops. But for now, I want you to write without using loops, even if you know loops. Okay. So let's start with this one. Just declare a string, write a program to replace all vowels in this string by asterisk.